We are back here on the Lynne Hayes-Freeland Show. You know, over the last couple weeks, the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so, there has been a lot of discussion about Pizza Milano's and an incident that happened there. Here to kind of bring us up to date on what happened and where we are as a community, two individuals who have been in the forefront of this discussion, Nikki Jo Dawson, Anthony Hall. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we all know this started with a video that went viral, a victim named Jade Martin. Tell me how Jade's doing right now.
Jade is struggling daily. Her brain was swollen due to the attack, and she is on medication, just had her last appointment at the concussion clinic. She suffered a severe concussion in the back of her head from being banged off the floor. She also had a contusion on the left side of her head, and I think it's called a hematopia.
Okay.
So yeah, she's got some severe neurological damage. Her eyesight in her left eye is very blurry. These are things that she has also mentioned publicly now in court as well today. But her equilibrium is off also. So it's severe.
It's severe.
Yeah, so.
And Anthony, while we can talk about the physical injuries to Jade, what this whole incident has done, however, is mobilized the community.
Absolutely. I think it presented an opportunity, as we spoke to, in a perfect storm with Martin Luther King Day looming, for us to kind of show our power as a community, to come together as a community, and also to stand behind a human being who was put in a very tumultuous situation. And because of that, we showed our strength. We galvanized with people we did not know. For example, Nikki.
Right.
I did not know Nikki prior to this event. We came together. We came together as brothers and sisters, and we stood arms in arms to make sure that the first part of the injustice is taken care of, which was the arrest that happened on that day.
So we've seen an arrest. We've seen a preliminary hearing for the defendant in this case. The pizza shop was closed up until, I guess, this past week.
Till Monday.
And so now the protests are back. And tell me what your end goal is here.
Well, the end goal, like I stated previously to you, is always justice for Jade. We want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We want the community to stand by any injustices, specifically against people of color in this city. And we want the establishment to leave the neighborhood. It is a predominantly black neighborhood, and it is not reasonable to expect to receive black people's money and you want to beat them down and not take any accountability for it. So the message for us is very clear. You cannot have a business in a predominantly black neighborhood and tear down the community of black people who live there.
So that's why the protests are ongoing.
Yes.
And Anthony, give me an idea. So you've had, some days you have a lot of protesters, some days not as many, but there is a presence there every day. Do people still go in and out of the restaurant? Very
few. Again, the protesters we're there to kind of help spread the word of the message, not just opposing our will and being in front of the door. We're actually trying to breathe the education of why we're here and the reason why we're here, and have more and more people understand that we're not going to stand for any injustices within our neighborhoods, whether it's violence against women, violence against children, or even the education. We're creating an avenue for all activists within our community to be able to speak up and to galvanize within the community and start to mobilize within their own right, within whatever role that they see fit. We're bringing a light to, now it's time to wake up and then activate your role within your community.
I was going to say, I mean, because it seems to me that this event at Pizza Milano's has taken on a life of its own in that it's become a movement that's bigger than Pizza Milano's.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's about time.
Yes, yes. I think it's been a long time in Pittsburgh since we've had a unified movement, a show of force to actually have some sense of continued unity amongst the communities in every community coming together. There were people there from all walks of life within Pittsburgh. Some of my friends who I know whom aren't activists seen our Facebook Lives and made sure that their presence were felt down there. Some celebrity friends of mine who've given me phone calls and say, hey, you guys are doing an amazing thing. What can I do from the background to help? So those type of people, you know, are still part of this movement, whether they're there in person or there in spirit. Their presence is immediately felt within us as well.
So this past week, we saw the preliminary hearing for the defendant. I know there was a packed courtroom for that. But at the same time, Jade Martin still has charges hanging over her head.
Exactly. So the problem with that is she never should have been charged in the first place. You're further victimizing the victim by putting charges on her that could not only threaten her livelihood, her freedom, but her housing. She has 2 small children to care for. She is out of work at the very least for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Because of her physical injuries.
Because of her physical injuries. So pressing these charges on her is putting this stigma which keeps perpetuating this fallacy of black women and men as criminals. You're putting a criminal aspect. And that's another reason why Anthony and myself and the community are so adamant about sharing these live videos. With all respect to your show, which is why we took it, we like to put the media out in a way where we can control the narrative, because so often black people are criminalized in the media. And that's one thing we love about your show is the respectability, that you put the truth out there, and other avenues don't do that. So we wanted to make sure that Steven Zapala, who had the charges on Jade Martin, realizes the impact of what you're doing is not just to Jade Martin, but you're doing it to
the
whole
entire community.
Right.
I need you to hold that thought. We got to take a commercial break. We're going to come back in just a minute and wrap all this up, so don't go away when the Lynne Hayes-Freeland Show continues.